Hey guys, and welcome back to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You'll be happy to know that the Walking Wake and Iron Leaf raids are coming back this weekend. Now, to get this raid active once it is out, or to even see the news on it, you're just going to open up your menu, you're going to go to the Poke Portal, and you're going to press the plus sign for the news at the bottom right. So if you go ahead and you check your news for your Nintendo Switch online, this will require a Wi-Fi connection, and it should show you the challenge between Walking Wake and Iron Leaves that's coming soon, and soon is Friday the 26th of April up until Monday the 6th of May. You'll be able to catch yourself a 5-star Walking Wake as well as a 5-star Iron Leaves. So these raids aren't too difficult, though I will share how to defeat them. You will see that Iron Leaves has a Psychic Tera type and Walking Wake has a Water Tera type. You're only allowed to catch one of them, so if you have caught them in the past, you won't be able to get more of them. You've already got your one. You should also know that in Pokemon Scarlet, you will only be getting the Walking Wake raid, and instead you will have to go into online battles to find Iron Leaves from Violet players sharing their raids to do multiplayer. If you're a Pokemon Violet player, you will only have the Iron Leaves 5-star raid and not the Walking Wake, and you will have to go online to find the Walking Wake raid hosted by Scarlet players. Now, I have made guides on how to beat these previously in other videos, and I'm sure the raids are not going to change enough to be different. It's only a 5-star raid. It's not the end of the world. It's not like a 7-star raid that's going to kick your butt. But if you are looking for builds, go ahead and watch these videos on the screen right now. I've actually just played them back in this video for you to, revamp and get ready to face them again. So let's first talk about how you're going to beat Walking Wake from the Scarlet game. So the first two things that you absolutely need are a level 100 Meowscarada, as well as the Grass Tera type on the Pokemon. In terms of the held item, you're going to be using the ever popular Shell Bell, which allows you to heal a little bit of HP for every damage that you do to a target. So like every time you hit, you're going to be healing yourself, which is fantastic, especially if you terrestrialize into your grass type against Walking Wake. You're going to basically be healing yourself the entire time and keep yourself alive endlessly. The ability doesn't really matter, but I have the ability Overgrow, which powers up my grass type moves when my HP is low. So if you do end up with low HP, your grass type moves are going to be a lot stronger. And this is perfect because the grass type moves we're using is just Flower Trick. We're going to basically spam Flower Trick over and over and over again. And the nice thing is that this attack will always be a critical hit. So it's going to do a lot of damage. I believe you learn this move by the time you evolve into Meowscarada, so you should have it in Remember moves if you don't have this move currently there. It will be there. Okay, so let's look at its nature. The nature we're going to be using is actually Adamant. Adamant nature will be the best, allowing you to have a 10% increase into attack and a 10% decrease to special attack, so that you can hit way harder. And this is obviously indicated by the red up arrow for attack and the blue down arrow on special attack. If you see those arrows in the right place, that means you've done the nature correctly. Now, if I press the L bumper here, you can see the EVs that we have here. Now we have 252 EVs into attack, and we have 252 EVs into speed. Now, as a reminder, my Pokemon here has already actually been able to beat the Walking Wake several times, but if you are building it from scratch, you might want to actually go and invest in putting some of the EVs from speed rather into special defense and then some into defense. I would say more special defense because Walking Wake seems to hit a lot more with special type moves. So if you have a higher special defense, you will stay alive a lot easier and there'll be less chance of things going wrong if you get critically hit. But just make sure you have those 252 EVs into attack. Lastly, you want to make sure all of your stats for this Meowscarada are either best or hyper trained. You don't really have to worry about special attack since we're not going to be using special attack, but everything else should be best or hyper trained, which adds a extra 31 stats into all of those different stats, which comes super in handy. And that's pretty much the build, but let me show you how to actually beat Walking Wake using this Pokemon. As you can see here, we are entering the Tera raid battle alone, doing it solo with Meowscarada. The first thing you should do in the battle is cheer and hang tough to increase your defenses. Just one stage is enough. Don't do it a second time. You should know that Walking Wake will always use Noble Roar, which is going to bring down your attack and special attack by one stage, but that's fine because our Flower Trick is always a critical hit and it will be fine. So from here, you're just going to spam Flower Trick until you can terrestrialize into your grass type to keep using Flower Trick. So we're just going to use it 3 times because we're going to require it 3 times until we can unlock our terrestrialization state. And there we go. We should have it. We've done it 3 times there. You can see our health is basically staying maxed out. Terrestrialize, Flower Trick, and now we're going to make even more HP
from our attacks while we terrestrialized, but you should always keep an eye on your HP. If your HP goes anywhere near the red or below 100, you might need to cheer for healing. But you can see here, we're just making it across the mark every single time, going from like 130 HP up to like 190, and we're gonna beat this fight quite nice and easily. It does take a little bit of time and a few flower tricks. I'm showing you all the flower trick moves that we used here in the video in this Tera raid. I highly recommend this if this is how you want to beat your Walking Wake in your game.
Now let's talk about how you can beat Iron Leaves from the Violet game.
Let me show you what the build I'm using on this Kingambit is. Okay, so let's check my summary of my Pokemon and let's go through everything. So first of all, I highly recommend being a level 100 Pokemon, having the Dark Tera type for your Kingambit. And the held item of choice needs to be the Shell Bell, because every single time you hit the Walking Leaves Virizion, you will be healing your Kingambit up every single time you hit. So it's the perfect strategy. So the move we're going to use here is Koto Cleave or Kotao Cleave. I don't know how you say this, but it's okay. It's a physical dark type move that does extraordinary damage and it never misses. So it's going to be really good at taking out Pokemon that are very weak to dark type attacks, like the Virizion Iron Leaves is going to be, because it's going to be a Psychic Tera type, and we're going to be a Dark Tera type, which is going to have the super effectiveness against it. Koto Cleave is a move that Kingambit can learn just by leveling up. For the ability, we have the Supreme Overlord, but it doesn't make a huge difference. This is more something that's like, for like ranked play, so you don't really have to worry about the ability at least, so don't even worry about that. In terms of the EVs, you can obviously see here, we have a very high HP attack and defense. In terms of the EV spread I'm using here, you might think this is a little odd or interesting looking. So I have 252 EVs into attack. The interesting part here is for my defense, I've only used 80 EVs. So only 80 EVs into defense, which leaves us with 176 EVs in special defense. Now, the whole point about this Pokemon is I was boosting its defense and special defense. Obviously, it already has a really high natural defense, so I boosted its special defense a lot more so that it's more of a very well-rounded defensive Pokemon, so it stays alive a lot longer, while having its attack increased by 252, which is what we're doing, physical attacks, which are going to be incredibly powerful. In terms of the nature for the Pokemon, you're going to be using the Adamant nature that increases the attack by 10%, which you can see by the red arrow shown over here next to attack. And then by special attack, there is a blue arrow down because we're taking a 10% cut from special attack for a 10% increase into attack. That's what natures do. If you see the red arrow by attack and the blue arrow by special attack, it means you've done the nature correctly. Of course, you're also going to want to hypertrain all of its IVs so that it's top in all the classes. It doesn't really need special attack, but if you want, you can hypertrain every single thing. Other than that, you need best IVs or just hypertrain. And that's the build that we used for Kingambit to take on the Iron Leaves Virizion new Paradox Pokemon.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.